And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chicago, Illinois and Wilbur Wright College for this, the 2009 Chicago Cup Freestyle Dual Meet between the United States of America and the team contingent from Russia. Alongside Craig Sesker, Jason Bryan here from USA Wrestling from Wilbur Wright College. Craig, waiting to see some pretty good action here in the wake of the World Championships, in the wake of Sunkist. This is the international competition our coaching staff said we need to get more of.
Absolutely, Jason. And, you know, Russia's the best team in the world right now. We're trying to close the gap on these guys. They're head and shoulders above everybody else on the planet right now. And we've got a really strong team here. Looking over, we got Danny Felix, world team member, Trent Paulson, the world team member, Tervel Dolognev, world bronze medalist. So we brought Andy Rovat, an Olympian, Travis Paulson, Carl Fronhofer, Coleman Scott. So we brought a very strong team. They've got a very good young team with some very proven young kids.
Well, Craig, you mentioned things about being young. The oldest guy on the team was born in 1986. If that ought to tell you how young this team is.
Absolutely, and you know the United States. Well, Danny Felix is the older statesman's over there at 35.
I think he's tired of hearing that too.
But you've got, you know, Tervel's only 23. The Paulsons are maybe 25. You know, Rovat's pushing 30. Coleman Scott, very young, just out of Oklahoma State. So good battle of some great young wrestlers.
Well, what you're going to see here is you're going to see 9 matches. We're going to have Russia and the United States. We even have one special exhibition bout at 211 pounds where an Israeli American will be sitting there and will be wrestling a Russian. So we got one Greco exhibition. Ryan Hope and Marco Toledo will kick that off. Right now we've got the opening remarks set to go from the World Sport Chicago, the organizing committee for this event, and a guy that knows wrestling pretty well. I think his name's Bill Scheer. I think he knows a little bit about wrestling.
We've heard of him. Bill, of course, is a world champ, won numerous world medals, was an Olympic bronze medalist, and of course his twin brother Jim, you know, former executive director of USA Wrestling and head of the U.S. Olympic Committee, and you know, Jim was an Olympian and a world silver medalist, and you know, Bill's done a great job of bringing some great wrestling events to Chicago. Well,
the facility here at Wilbur Wright, this is a 2-year junior college. They do have a wrestling program here along with other schools that are listed. William Rainey Harper and Triton are 2 schools you might have heard of if you follow the NJCAA ranks. But a very intimate setting, I guess about maybe 1,000 people in here. And, you know, very nice place to have it, honestly. It's spacious. You got a good sight line. It's quaint, but at the same time, it's going to get loud in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's pretty well packed, and like you said, it's about 1,000 people, the capacity. And one of the employees here told me this place has only been open for 15 years. It's a nice facility. They're trying to build a wrestling program at the junior college level. And they took an old storage room, and that's their wrestling room now. They just showed it to me, and so they're trying to build something pretty good here, and you know, a nice crowd today.
So as you hear in the background, announcer Sandy Stevens, who basically with any international or any national international wrestling event in the United States, you know, if there's a microphone, she's going to be near it. And what we're doing here is the exchange of gifts and the team delegations and the coaching staffs, and then we'll have the opening remarks from the World Sport Chicago president, Bill Scheer, and World Sport Chicago is also involved in trying to help bring the 2016 games to Chicago. Unfortunately, we won't be having an Olympics on American soil here in quite a while, it would seem, but Chicago trying to bring some things here. See Sean Bourmet of the Overtime Wrestling Overtime School of Wrestling, accepting a gift there. So I'm actually pretty interested to see how some of these guys are going to fare, because everything the coaching staff's pretty much said about why our performance was what it was at the World Championships was because we didn't have the international competition we needed. Now we've got, like we said, 7 first-timers on the world team, now in their second year. Zeke Jones, the national coach, calls them sophomores now. This is their second year, so building towards that next Olympic cycle. Now here we go. We've already had Sunkist. We've got the NYAC going on next weekend. Greco's wrestling out there today. And then we've got a dual meet with the Russians right here in Chicago. So I'd say the steps are rolling for the U.S. freestyle team to get back where they need to be, and these type of events are key for it.
Absolutely right, Jason. I think there were some really positive things that happened in Herning at the World Championships, and Jake Herbert's over here. He's not wrestling today. You know, of course, he wrestled here in Chicago for Northwestern, 2-time NCAA champ.
Technically Evanston, but hey.
Was a you know, world silver medalist right out of college. Tervel Dolognev, world bronze medalist, just a couple years out of Nebraska Kearney, Division II school. The Paulson twins have really bought into this program. Trent Paulson was on the world team. Travis just missed the team. And I think we're taking some really good steps. You know, we've got some people coming back. Ben Askren, an Olympian's back, created some excitement. You know, I just think there's a really big upside in freestyle right now, and I think the program is definitely headed in the right direction.
Well, what we're going to see here is none of these Russians today were on the 2009 World Team. However, we have a European champion in there. We'll see him at 121 pounds. That's Nariman Israelov, excuse me. That's one thing I'm going to be stumbling over today is these V's. You can practice and practice and practice, but when they flow off. You hear Jim Shear in the background. Bill Shear. It happens. They're twins. Can you still tell the Paulsons apart?
Not right now. Trent looks pretty big. I don't think he had to weigh in today.
You know, you covered him in high school. I still can't tell them apart.
You know, Jason, you were talking about Bill Shear, and this is the third edition of the Chicago Cup. We had two of them at Northwestern, and they've been great events, and the city's been very supportive, and it's been a great opportunity to get some international experience and just expose some of these people to the international style of wrestling, you know, that some of the fans don't really see a lot of.
Well, one thing also, the venue, it wasn't very difficult to get here if you're coming in from out of town, even though, as our pre-broadcast discussion said, I really am not a fan of the traffic in this city, and you move on about a clip about 8 miles an hour. You might be able to run faster. I could have probably ran here from where I stayed last night in about, well, let's not kid ourselves. But, you know, the traffic, getting to Northwestern from places is kind of difficult. Right here at Wilbur Wright, it's kind of situated real close to O'Hare, and I think this has been a good situation for the teams coming in, the guys collecting them from all over the country, and you've got a competition venue real close. So I can't think of it was a great pick to have it here.
Right. We'll talk more about it later, but it's an exciting week for USA Wrestling. We have an event coming up Wednesday night at Cornell College in Iowa. Friday night, the U.S. is going to wrestle Russia again in New York City, and then the New York Athletic Club tournament, which should be a very, very tough tournament, is coming up a week from today in New York City.
Well, as we the one thing I do want to bring up here on the broadcast is we mentioned Tervel and always point the fact that he was a Division II national champion. You know, I don't know if you were picked up on this, but a D2 kid beat the D1 national champion yesterday at the Central Missouri Open.
I did not.
Dustin Finn, Central Oklahoma, picks off Mark Ellis a week after he picks off Nathan Fernandez. He's got Rochelt next week.
Wow, this is an exciting time. The college season's getting going. We've got our season's basically underway again. This is the first time these World Team guys have competed since Denmark, so it's been a couple of months, and these guys had a little bit of time to take a break. And
really been that tough. Jeez. Yeah, that was September, wasn't it? Is it November? Is it mid-November almost? Jeez. Well, yeah, today it's the Ides of November.
And Jason, welcome to USA Wrestling. This is your first day on the job, and great to have you aboard.
Good to be here. We have announcing Lee Kemp there in the background. Oh, it's right behind us.
One of the greatest United States wrestlers in history, three-time world champ. You know, unfortunately, we didn't go to the 1980 Olympics. He would have won that, too.
I was one. I'm doing my best to make you feel old here, Craig. I just turned 30 a couple months ago, and it's like, I don't feel like it. So introducing again the wrestling dignitaries and names from around the sport. Now, been a big weekend for college wrestling, and then we're kicking off with the Chicago Cup here. So I think we've got the attention of the public, which is good. So looks like we are drifting off the mats now. And we're about getting set to start here. 2:30 in the Central Time Zone approximately. Now, what we're going to see first is we're going to have a Greco-Roman exhibition match, basically, because this is a freestyle duel. But we're going to get one Greco match in there to kind of showcase that style of wrestling. And it's going to be Ryan Hope and Marco Toledo, both Americans. Toledo, you guys might have actually remembered from Fargo, was a junior national Greco-Roman champion out of Brandon, Florida. Spent a year at Tennessee Chattanooga collegiately. So again, we'd like to thank you guys from around the country and around the world watching this broadcast on USA Wrestling's TheMat.com of this, the 2009 Chicago Cup. Along with Craig Sesker, Jason Bryant here. We're going to be joined by Bill Scheer later in the broadcast, and Jake Herbert's also going to be coming on with us. Had a chance to go over and see Northwestern and some Big Ten schools and some other schools wrestle yesterday at the Northwestern duels. The Stanford had a good 3-0 day. Jason Borelli looking pretty good over there with the Cardinal. Young coach, probably the youngest in Division I. Purdue, Northwestern, St. Cloud State. Steve Costanzo's team was in there, as was Kevin Bratlin's North Central College Cardinals. So a very diverse group of teams here. Got some people in the stands. We got a grappler over there, Danny Rubenstein. He competed in Sunkist at the Grappling World Team Trials. So a lot of Chicago wrestling faces that look familiar dotted through the stands. So good to see them come out and support wrestling here. And those hideously teal-colored Tervel Delagnev shirts are to our right here, Craig. I don't know who did Tervel's shirts, but they're teal, green, and pink. We're set to get ready to go here in Greco-Roman. So because of this, we have to explain the differences and the nuances of Greco versus freestyle. Ryan Hope will be wearing the red. If I had to guess, I'd say these guys are about 163. This is Greco of Marco Toledo in the blue. Ryan Hope of the United States also. These guys are both U.S. guys. Here we go. First period, 90 seconds on their feet. And Sandy Stevens awaiting the instructions to kick off the match. And here we go. Greco again, 90 seconds on their feet. It's just like freestyle in terms of the periods. It's 3 2-minute periods. Best 2 out of 3 wins. A lot of hand fighting within the Greco-Roman. Craig Sesker going to tell 84 kilos. So 170, so about 184 roughly. And Toledo trying to push on the edge to get that 1-point push out. Having to go in from college wrestling yesterday to where you can score with a toenail inbounds to freestyle in Greco where you can score if a toenail goes out of bounds. So it's quite a difference in style because the mat area is so much smaller. Toledo now controlling with the underhook on the far side, looking to get the push out. Gets the push out as Hope tried to throw a headlock by, at least try something desperate. So a 1-0 lead for Marco Toledo here in the blue in the first period in this Greco-Roman exhibition here at the Chicago Cup. And back to action. 55 seconds to go here in the first period. Ten seconds to go until we get to the parterre position. We'll explain those rules when we get to it, but right now Toledo with a 1-0 lead. And now we go 30 seconds parterre. And because Toledo has the lead and scored a point, he will lock in the top position to try to score offense in this top. But if he does not score, he will not be penalized. If they were scoreless, they decide on singlet color. And then, the explanations of these things. And our towel tapper gets some FaceTime there on the screen. Toledo trying to work a gut wrench. Not only does he get FaceTime, he crashes into our table.
I wasn't sure if he could get the towel or not.
I mean, does he have the ability? I don't know.
He just got it, so I guess he does.
Yeah, well, as you see, you can barely see there on the screen. First period, 1-0. Going to go in favor of Marco Toledo. So we'll clear it off. Blue with the victory. Toledo just kind of looking around going, hey, where's my coach? Here comes Zeke. Zeke's going to coach a Greco guy.
Zeke just told him to shoot a low single.
First shot. First shot. Set to go second period. Marco Toledo in the blue. Ryan Hope. Both these guys Northern Michigan guys. But in Greco, nothing below the waist. 15 seconds gone by here in the second period. After this, we'll get to our first freestyle match. It'll be at 121. We'll go weight class order. We'll have 2 matches at 96 kilos. And Craig, I tell you one thing, it's going to have to start entering my terminology working with USA Wrestling. I have to think kilo first, pound second. I'm the last holdout of the metric system, and you guys are taking that from me. 40 seconds gone by here in the second period. Now Hope trying to pass by with that 2-on-1 tie. Can't quite do it. Toledo fights out of it. High dive attempt by Hope. Now trying to push Toledo to the edge. Toledo lowering his level, circling back in. A lot of hand fighting here. 30 seconds until we get to parterre. Greg, it's going to be interesting to see how Dennis Hall takes over with that staff and his staff at Northern Michigan after Jim Grunwald has left to come back to college coaching right around town here in Wheaton at Wheaton College in Division III.
Right. Jim is here today, and he just had his first tournament. He said I think he had 3 guys in the finals yesterday, and he's already making an impact on the college level. Obviously, we miss Jim, in the Greco. He and Ivan Ivanov did a fantastic job, and developed a number of world and Olympic medalists there, and Dennis Hall, obviously great credentials, world champ and Olympic silver medalist, and it'll be interesting to see, we keep the ball rolling up there in Marquette.
We were scoreless in the first 90 seconds, so then it was determined that if you are red and you have no score in the first 90 in the first period, you will lock in the top position. Now the second period, it's blue. Well, neither wrestler scored, so Toledo was the blue wrestler, so he had to lock in the top position. He has to score in this period or else he will give up a point, and Hope will score for defending. It's a little intricate when you try to explain it, but once you've watched it a couple times, you kind of get the hang of it. I mean, after 7 days in Denmark, I think we became experts on the Greco rules. So 1 point for red after defending the Toledo lock. So now we'll go to the third period. And the only case in Greco we will go to a ball draw is if there is no score after the 90 in this period. Previously, you'd see a ball draw in Greco almost every, or freestyle.
I think these rules are a lot better. The flow of the match is just, it would really bog down with coin flip or a ball draw, and I just think it flows so much better.
Ryan Hope with a big body lock. Can he throw it by? No, but he's trying to look to push out. Toledo very aware of where he was, fought out of the position, and there's the 1 point push out for Hope. 30 seconds gone by here in the third period of this Greco exhibition here at the Chicago Cup. Ryan Hope in the red, Marco Toledo in the blue. Hope now locking around with the head and arm. Actually in a good position there, but can't quite throw it by. He just bails out on the move. He's got a 1 point lead, so he's pretty much in control. It's one thing about the new rules, and we keep saying new. They made the drastic rule change years ago, but it's now more a strategic game than it is actually wrestle. All right, I've got 5 minutes to go wrestle. I'm gonna score as many points as possible.
The big thing is you're rewarded if you score on your feet. It's a huge reward because you obviously get that advantage when you go to parterre.
I think even in freestyle, gone are the days where we see guys like Randy Lewis score 24 points in a gold medal final.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of guys will get a 1-2 point lead and they'll just sit on that lead, try to win the period. But we've got Tervel Delagnev, Jake Herbert, our guys that really opened it up, and that's been great for United States wrestling.
So now we'll go to the parterre position because Hope again scored that 1 point push out. He will be in the top position parterre. Parterre, one of those international phrases we use when discussing freestyle wrestling. It's like repechage. Actually, Hope looks like he's got a trapped arm gut in there. What can he do with it? He doesn't really need to do anything with it, but he's going to try to drive over. Toledo defending. Now he's got the wrist. Loses it. 10 seconds to go. So Ryan Hope going to drop the first period. 3, 2, and 1. But he will win the second and third and win this Greco-Roman exhibition at 84 kilos. So That was your exhibition in Greco. Thoughts, reflections?
Yeah, last year we had the U.S. wrestled Bulgaria in Greco, and the Chicago Cup was the featured style, and great duel. And then, first year the Chicago Cup was a freestyle duel with Russia, so given freestyle and Greco both a great opportunity to compete in this event. Got world team member Danny Felix over there ready to roll, and I think Danny's in it for another cycle. He could be pushing 40 by the London Olympics, but he's wrestling the best of his career right now.
Going to be wrestling 21-year-old Nariman Israelov of Russia, 7th in the 2009 Golden Grand Prix. Of course, that was out in Baku. And apparently, Craig, I didn't have a chance to go, but that tournament was serious. I mean, they weren't messing around over there at the Golden Grand Prix in Baku.
Right. Azerbaijan's emerged as one of the powers in the world. They're probably number 2 right now behind Russia.
And
they're very deep. I mean, they've got 2-3 guys at each weight class, and the Russian, you'd win Europeans. That's it's probably the second toughest tournament in the world behind the World Championships right now. So I mean, that's a very, very impressive achievement, and Russia just continues to churn out young superstars, and this kid looks like another really, really good prospect, and that's what's great about this. We're going to get to see this kid and wrestle him and match up against him and see what we need to do to beat him.
Not sure, haven't seen the lineups for what we're going to see out in Iowa, Craig, but I'm guessing this is going to be the same squad that comes through again.
The Russians they'll be in Iowa, and then they'll be in New York, and then if they're still standing after all this wrestling, they'll be wrestling in the New York AC tournament.
Now, I often wonder, though, what's it take for the international guys to get used to making weight so many times because of the big gap in weight classes? You see people now, you see it with the Americans like the Paulsons, the one that goes down to 66, having to cut months in advance to make it, and then gets back up, and that's got to be tough on your body to keep going these huge cuts, because and in college you're weighing in every weekend essentially, so for the cut's not as severe. I'm wondering how the international athletes handle that, because we know how we do it in the U.S., but they don't wrestle competition after competition after competition like we do in college. So I'm curious to see how that's going to catch up with them.
One advantage is, there's typically a 2-kilo allowance during almost every tournament. So, I mean, a lot of these international tours and overseas tours, you've got 4.5-pound allowance, and some of these guys do have to drop some weight. Unfortunately, there's a 20-pound gap between some of the middle weight classes where a lot of the best wrestlers are. So it's, one advantage to it is that allowance. I mean, that really helps a lot, and making scratch weight. At least they do weigh in the day before, which is, is a beneficial thing. Guys can rehydrate and get something to eat and get feeling good, but it is a pretty big transition. I mean, Jake Herbert's going through some of that now, just coming out of college, and Jake isn't a guy that really has to drop a lot of weight, but it's it's definitely an adjustment.
Well, and a guy like Felix with these the 2-pound allowances, that's being 121 pounds, that last 4 pounds is huge.
Plus, Danny wrestled 60 kilos for years and then decided to drop back down just in the last few years. So he's a pretty big 55 kilo.
And he looks very big right now.
Yeah.
So here we go.
And he didn't make weight today, so I'm not sure what he's weighing right now.
Yeah, he didn't have to make weight
today. Nobody did.
Marco, let's see, we got Danny Felix in the red for the United States. Nariman Israelov from Russia. As we've got this Chicago Cup duel underway. Again, Craig Sesker by the side here. I'm Jason Bryant with USA Wrestling. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast. So 30 seconds gone by, no scoring. Lowering the level is Felix. Israelov trying to work the wrist control. Felix, the more tattoo adorned of the wrestlers. That's something you see much overseas, Craig, is the international wrestlers don't typically bring the tattoo element to the
Danny's a very accomplished artist. He paints
in on a single as Felix. He's got it lifted up, he shelves it on his shoulder, now trying to push. Israelov trying to counter, doing what he can. Felix in a good position. Now around the waist, waiting to get the takedown. He drops to a knee. He didn't award it. Quickly facing is Israelov. Felix still driving and gets the 1-point push out. So, Danny Felix real quick on that single, picks it up, could not finish it, although it looked like momentarily he might have had the knee down to gain international control. In college, that's a takedown. Internationally, you've got to have a knee down.
And he had that single way up in the air, and the Russian made a nice counter. He kind of spun and faced him, but Danny was in deep on a leg shot and then was able to drive him out of bounds. It's a great job of staying with it by Danny.
Israelov now charging. Down by a point here in the first period, 15 seconds to go. Felix now countering. Trying to circle in. Israelov challenging. Now front headlock.
Danny's very strong in this position. Very strong.
That front headlock with the underhook. He's just content to going to be hanging on. And that will win the first period for Danny Felix of the United States.
And again, this time of year, you don't know what kind of shape these guys are in or how much they've trained, because you obviously got to take a break after the Worlds and recharge your battery a little bit. And the U.S. had a camp out in Colorado Springs, and Danny was out there, real tough, intense 1-week camp, and I think it was really good preparation for this event. He looks very sharp, and he lost first round at the World Championships to a very, very tough kid from Azerbaijan, the kid that Henry Cejudo beat in the semifinals of the Olympics, barely beat. And, it was a tough draw, and the kid didn't get to the finals, and Danny didn't get a wrestle back. But Danny's, he's right there. He can wrestle with anybody.
Training out of Morgantown, West Virginia, on the coaching staff at the university, at West Virginia University.
And what I was going to say earlier, he's a very accomplished artist. He paints like Harley Davidson motorcycles. He was actually went to like a specialized high school to work on his art skills, and just a very talented guy.
Israelov now charging. Felix now countering on the front head, and they're both on their knees, so we're not going to get a push out here. White paddled by the judge. So 21-year-old Neramin Israelov of Russia in the blue. Trailing 1 period to none. Now working that underhook, trying to charge Felix out of bounds. Now the Russian in great position. Now drives and pushes out. Felix gets the 1 point. So
he's really got Danny on his heels. He got a deep underhook, and he's really got Danny kind of off balance a little bit.
It's the leverage. People always ask what makes the Russians better than us. I don't think that question has an answer.
They're very, very solid technique-wise. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they've
look, there it is again.
They've really improved their conditioning level in recent years. I mean, they're a lot of, in the old days they used to block and wrestle really defensively, but a lot of their guys now, are a lot more offensive-minded.
Israelov leading 2-0 with 2 push-outs. But really actually didn't struggle with those push-outs at all, Craig. I mean, he got the underhook and just drove him out in the front headlock and drives him out. He's obviously smaller than Felix, but he just seems to control like a lever. He's like, I'm going to grab your wrist and move it here. And Felix hasn't had an answer for it in the second period. 30 seconds to go. 2-0 lead in this period for Neramin Israelov, rather. I mean, he won the Europeans in 2009, so this kid's pretty good. 7th in the Golden Grand Prix, 3rd in the 08 Medved out in Belarus.
Well, he won the Europeans, and he wasn't good enough to make Russia's world team. So
that might bring up a question. You've got the Worlds, the Europeans, and then maybe the Russian Nationals is the three toughest tournaments.
The Russian Nationals, might be tougher than the Europeans. Might have to retract that.
So 1 period each for Neramin.
But this is one of the reasons that the Russians are here. We want to wrestle them, and Zeke wants these head-to-head battles, and this is where the U.S. is going to learn and improve, and just that type of competition. We go to Russia a lot to compete, and we love it when we can get them to come over here.
And set to go final 2 minutes of action here at 121 pounds. That's 55 kilos. And underway. "20 seconds gone by. Israelov with the total score advantage.
Danny looks a little flat-footed right now. I think he's got to get his feet moving and get on the attack. He's got to get a point here.
Oh, snaps that front headlock, that snap right down in the mat. You can hear it thump. So that's going to leave Israelov seeing stars for a little bit. And Craig, you can just hear it sound like a basketball bouncing off the floor.
It did. Russian is really good at digging in and getting that underhook, getting an advantage, but Danny worked his way out of it.
Felix is controlling the center, which one thing the officials do like in international wrestling is a wrestler that is in the center of the mat with their, in the center of back facing.
Just missed it there.
Definitely looking for that snatch single. Reshot attempt. There's a front headlock attempt trying to block. Israelov with the leg. Felix in trouble on the edge. Bails out, and there's a 1-point takedown, 35 seconds to go. So Nurmam Israelov takes the lead here in the third period.
Now Danny will just needs a takedown. He gets one takedown, he wins the match by virtue of scoring last, or a push out. Last
point score. So he's really going to need to push the action, tries that front headlock, that bounce again. Israelov countered that shot. It was the Felix. He just missed it, and then boom, right away he was in on a shot, countering it. And it didn't look like he had a great lock on it, but he just sucked the leg back in. And by that point, Felix really had no choice rather than he was going to give up a push out or he was going to get taken down. So lesser of two evils are both a point. And that's going to end the period. And that's going to end the match. So 2 periods to 1. Russia takes out the United States and Danny Felix at the first bout. Nurmam Israelov takes it over Danny Felix, 2 periods. And now you see the World Sports Chicago handing out the awards, the medals for the competitors. So that's pretty cool, come overseas and you get a medal and a trophy. And I'm sure Felix doesn't like the one that's wrapped around his neck right now, but it's one of those things.
These international duels are always fun. There's always a gift exchange, in the beginning, and then some awards are handed out, and there's a lot of, it's a pretty cool deal. Really good sportsmanship and that sort of thing, and it's kind of a fun event for the competitors too.
I'm looking forward to this one because as much as I like college wrestling and cover it, and this is one of the guys I've seen come through Waynesburg High School and college. Coleman Scott out of Oklahoma State in the red, and he represented the United States, and Vladimir Vilmov for Russia. And, I just think Scott, the one thing that's tough on Scott is the cut down to 33. He's just a tenacious guy. He's never out of a match. He can score in short time. That what makes him a great freestyle wrestling threat for the next Olympic cycle.
Absolutely. Coleman is, he's been right there in some matches with Mike Zadek, who's been an Olympian and a world silver medalist, and Sean Bunch is the #1 guy right now. Well, Sean will be wrestling later this week. He'll be back for the first time since the Worlds, and Coleman he's huge for this weight class, and I don't know, he used to wrestle I don't know how he wrestled 125 a few years ago in college, but he has really developed into a really big 60 kilo, and he's he continues to improve.
Yeah, that's where you see the reduction of the weight classes is kind of hurt guys like Scott, who's definitely too small to go up to 66. Now Vilmov in on a shot, basically countering the Scott tie. Now close to the edge. Throws it by, hits the hips. Coleman hasn't given up the point yet. Boom, there's the takedown. Now goes right to a gut, can't turn him. So 1 point for Vilmov over Coleman Scott. Now Scott was a 4-time collegiate All-American, never redshirted at Oklahoma State, was redshirting his freshman year, him and Nathan Morgan both. It got to a point, John Smith at the national duels in Cleveland, he says, I'm pulling him out. Placed that year, national champion, pinned Iowa's Joe Slayton in the finals his senior year, and a place that got really loud at that tournament, now a threat here on the freestyle level, but trailing 1-0 to Vladimir Vilmov.
And that takedown was a classic example of the Russian technique, just flawless on that shot and finish. I mean, he just really crisp on the execution. Ooh, another nice. Great shot here.
Good sweep singles, picks up the leg, shelves it. Now moving up to the hips, Scott gives up the takedown. Tried to hit a switch right there on the edge, right there in the middle of the mat. Didn't have the control yet, but boom, there's the 2 and a 2-0 lead for Vladimir Vilmov.
Russia has a little bit of depth at 60 kilos right now.
He was third in Russian nationals, placed 5th at the Zolkowski up at 66. So Vilmov
Right,
Definitely.
and he's behind. Look, think of the guys he's behind. Mavlat Batirov is a 2-time Olympic champion, world champion. Besik Kudikov just moved up to 60, wins a world title this year at 60. So, you know, they're going to be all right at 60 kilos for a while.
Yeah, and, you know, you see he moved up to 66 for an event. I won the Schultz earlier this year, so, I mean, this guy has been wrestling in the United States a couple times. European junior champ in 05, but third in 09 Russian Nationals. So, I mean, this one thing I just noticed about those takedowns, Craig, is that not just the takedown technique, but the finishing technique. So many times we've seen our guys get takedown or get behind guys around the hips and just trying to put that knee to the mat, where the Russians and the international guys' defense is so great, you cannot force that knee down. And you see the technique that the Russian used on Scott once he got around the waist, and he goes, I'm going to break you down. I think, maybe that's something that, at least in my estimation, I look at it and go, that's
exploded on that thing.
Yeah.
This guy is an athlete. I mean, you don't necessarily think of some of these guys, but Kudikov, Batirov, these guys are the, Gadasov that Jake Herbert beat at the Worlds. The guys are not only great technicians, they're athletic and they're strong. And that's something. This is a really good measuring stick for Coleman. He can kind of measure where he's at right now.
30 seconds gone by here in the second period. Vilmov won the first period with 2 takedowns, 2 really good takedowns. That sweep single was one of the fastest I've seen, Craig. That was quick.
Yeah, it was. Coleman's got to get some shots going. He came out and shot a double right away, and he really hasn't gotten a lot going since. Here's a good shot by Coleman.
Low single attempt. And look at how strong Vilmov is. He just says, nope, height. Duck under attempt. Scott's going to drop into his butt and get one on the takedown. Goes right to the gut wrench.
Coleman's got to get his offense going. He's got a good attack. He just needs to push the pace a little bit. I think he can beat this guy.
Now trying to work with a high gut. The Russian Vilmov tying up the legs. We go back up to our feet. Coleman Scott sporting a really bad Super Troopers mustache.
I asked him before the duel, I said, did you lose a bet or something? He's like, no, I was trying something a little different, and not sure it's working very well for him, but
Vilmov attacking now on the edge.
Coleman's a really good guy.
Attacking on the edge again, and there's the push out, and that hard work that Coleman Scott used to get that takedown now just wiped away with the 1-point push out, so he's going to have to score again. Coleman got out of the van yesterday as we showed up to the venue wearing boots and a cowboy hat.
He uses words like fixin' and etc. now.
Vilmov tried to counter on that sweep. Whizzer in tight for Scott, trying to prevent the takedown. Vilmov has got his body completely locked, his hands completely locked around Scott. 20 seconds to go. No takedown awarded yet. If this were a college wrestling situation, I'd almost expect somebody who tried to step over that Whizzer.
Coleman's got to go. Zeke Jones is really getting on our guys right now. We're just not pushing. The U.S. has got to push the pace. That's our style. That's how we're going to beat. That's how the United States is going to beat the Russians. Push the pace, get our attacks going. We condition harder than anybody else. We just got to use that to our advantage.
10 seconds to go. Scott needs to score. And 2 and 1. And wow. Time. They're going to call time? Yikes. Well, it's nothing new. We saw that in Denmark constantly. So Vladimir Vilmov going to take the second period 1-1 by scoring last. So Russia up 2-0 on the U.S. So Coleman Scott can't give the U.S. its first victory. Accepts the award from World Sports Chicago. Vilmov, man, he's the third best in Russia.
Yeah. No, you may see him wearing a different country singlet at some point. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that,
but it happens. I mean, look at what Great Britain's doing for their women's Olympic movement. You've got a couple. There are definitely Russian sounding
maybe some
names.
Other countries recruiting Vilmov right now.
So the first 2 matches do not go in favor of the United States.
2 years ago, the U.S. wrestled Russia in the first Chicago Cup, and they brought a really, really strong team similar to this. I mean, the Russians, they don't send over their 10th string guys. They're going to send a really good team to represent their country, and the U.S. only won one match in that duel 2 years ago. Mola Wall got a win, and so the U.S. really needs to get it going here, to avoid something similar.
Arsen Marov from Russia taking on Trent Paulson. Paulson Power of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Here at 66 kilos.
Trent is nowhere near 66 right now.
Trent and Travis Paulson's constantly getting confused by everybody in this sport. I mean, even you've covered him in high school. You still get him confused from time to time. So the name on the singlet really doesn't help either because it just says Paulson. That's the World Championship singlets that the United States was representing with names on the back, which is kind of a new feel of rule for those competitions.
The biggest thing with Trent is he's very good defensively.
Marov looking for the throw on the edge, and he looked like he was just inbounds. So 3 points on the feet-to-back danger. So it looked like he was close to getting pushed out. Crotch lifted, didn't crotch lift. He got around the waist and just boom, pulled him through.
Just chest locked him.
Yeah,
lifted him and launched him. And right on cue, he is very good defensively. Where he gets into trouble, he doesn't get his offense going.
We had one red and now one blue. So Paulson got the point for the takedown there on the edge, and I apologize for those of you back home that missed it off the screen. We gotta work the camera a little funky here. So you missed the throw, but it was a good one. 4-1 lead for Paulson over Arsen Marov of Russia. Now a lat drop attempt, and it's not going to happen. Paulson stops him, gets 2, and 2 on the turn.
Great action here. This is what the fans came here to see. This is great.
So he countered the throw, got the exposure, and with the gut 2 more. So it should be 7-1, 8-1.
And one of the issues with Trent is he goes to his butt a lot defensively, and it works a lot against Americans, but when you get against guys at this level, it's just very difficult. And I noticed when the guy shot in, he kept his butt off the mat, and used more of his leg strength, and then bent down and just launched the guy. I mean, very, very strong counter maneuver. Zeke Jones has been, really working with him on that technique.
And that is Paulson Power. Those shirts get a lot of mileage.
And again, he's probably about 20 pounds over his competition weight right now, and I'm sure the Russian's nowhere near his weight either, but Trent, a very, very big 66 kilo. He and Travis obviously don't want to wrestle the same weight class, and so one of them has to cut the weight.
Paulson with another double leg driving off the mat, gets 1 point from official Tom Clark.
And that's what we were talking about. He's got an arsenal on offense. It's just you have to go to it. And I don't think a lot of people expect Trent to shoot because his strength is defensively. But look at that technique. Obviously, very impressive.
Nice inside single high C by Magedov. Now stepping over the leg. Wow, that was great technique. Still no points though. And Paulson countering now with the chest lock again. Rolls him over for 2. Gives up 2 and 1. So 2 points for Paulson. 1
Trent
point
is putting on a show today.
How about that? I don't think he ever wants to go to a ball pull again. Hey, maybe that's what lit the fire. I mean, you didn't see this out of him at the World Team Trials because you got defensive wrestlers everywhere. But Paulson definitely looking to change his MO, so to speak, in the eyes of the wrestling public.
Yeah, and I think Trent, he works as hard as anybody. He's totally bought into this new coaching regime. He's at every camp. He's doing everything he can.
Paulson with a body lock. Got the Russian trouble. Oh, he gets taken to his back, but has he given anything up yet? No, he's turned the Russian to Marov. Now he's looking for the fall.
Wow, Trent Paulson just looks fantastic today.
Got a little sloppy early, but now he fought out of it. He gets 1 and 2. I'm waiting to see the score. I think it should be 2 and 1 more. This reminds me
of kind of a Jake Herbert match where you give up a point here and there, but you just keep coming. You wrestle aggressively. This is what the U.S. did when the U.S. was a dominant country in freestyle.
Are we going to stop the clock at all? No, there we go. So 6-4. Sandy gets on it. So they're going to add here we go.
Trent Paulson scored 14 points in this match. We're 30 seconds left in the second period.
So maybe my Randy Lewis comment earlier was Paulson heard it. So 23 seconds to go in the period. Paulson won the first one 8-1. Now up 6-4 in what's been a real exciting. I mean, Yurev has been in on some good shots, and he almost scored a couple of them. Just the counters. Now he needs 2 points and 3 points, actually. Paulson now trying to use the underhook. Stepping through, tries the lat drop again.
He's pinned.
Looks for the fall. Does he have it? He's got 2 and 1.
Wow.
2 is over. Time is out. So let's see how the scoring goes. Trent Paulson giving the fans a show here.
Pointing to his USA on his singlet to his flag, and what a impressive performance by Trent. Wow.
Fans love it here. There's Darrell's cheering section. We got Lovett over there. Trent Paulson, big exciting victory for the United States at 66 kilos. That was fun. Craig Sesker's going to step away. Now we're going to bring on Travis Paulson and Rashid Kurbanov. Kurbanov of Russia, European junior champion in 07, fourth at the NYAC 2 years ago. Here comes Travis Paulson at 74 kilos. That's Trent's twin brother, obviously.
What's up?
That is, I guess, my professional name. Now, you remember we're working now. You can't call me that here.
Exactly. No curse words. My mother would be very upset with me.
Yeah, we don't want any sofas. So we're joined now by Jake Herbert here, the reigning silver medalist at 84 kilos. We're wrestling 74 with Travis Paulson. And before we get really started, how about that match with Trent just now? Wow, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Trent looked really small out there, and it was awesome that he could use his technique and go through that. No, Trent looked great, man. He's been coming real hard. I know he's disappointed at Worlds, and, it shows out here. He's really battling through. He's really put the time on, hitting the weight room and working on his technique, and it shows out here, especially going up against such a tough opponent like that and just basically manhandling him.
Minute gone by. Travis Paulson. No score with Rashid Kurbanov. We're at 74 kilos here at the Chicago Cup. Jason Bryant, joined by Jake Herbert, who was kind of one thing. Let's ask you this, because I know you're in here in the Chicago area. Why aren't you wrestling today?
I'm not ready yet. I wish I kind of got back from Worlds pretty late. I took my time over in Europe, getting back home. It was a long season going from college to the Open, to the Worlds, and then the World Championships. I took a good month and a half off. And I just am now getting back on the mat. I've been back on the mat for about 2 weeks, so NYC is when I'll be really, really ready to come back. I didn't want to come out here and disappoint anybody.
Travis Paulson, no score here with Kurbanov. 15 seconds remaining. And, we'll talk about the weight here in a second with the final 10 seconds. We're going to go, it looks like, to this leg clinch. And now, from your position, your opinion, leg clinch, good, bad, indifferent?
Indifferent, I guess. It's the rules, so you got to take it, how you can. It's not always the better wrestler that's going to win it, but, it's not the fairest position, but it's the rules, and that's what you got to do. If you're not going to put points up on the board and you're going to go to that leg clinch, then you got to be, ready to gamble.
So right now, Paulson loses the toss. They didn't bring out the bag, so no ball draw.
Nope. The ref didn't reach in and grab any balls. They just flipped the coin. I like the coin a little bit better than the ball grab, I'm not going to lie. Thank
goodness this is the internet.
That's what that's for.
Now there's the action.
Paulson good.
Gets out of it, and he gets the push out.
Yes.
So he gets out of the leg clinch, and then there's the push out for Paulson to win the period. How about that? How about them Cowboys?
That's right. I love those TP boys. They're good.
Paulson power, as we were saying last match. And now, one thing that Craig and I were talking about beforehand with the Russians, they're going to wrestle here, then they're going to wrestle in Iowa, then some of them are going to stick around and wrestle the AC. Internationally, now you haven't gone through a little bit of a cycle in terms of only having to weigh in so many times. What's the differences between weighing in consistently in college and now weighing in only periodically with the international weights?
I do not know, because I'm fortunately pretty light, so weighing in is not really a big issue for me. I just haven't really had a whole year to experience that yet. I think it's a lot easier on your body. You know, it's a lot easier. It makes the sport more fun. You're not focusing on your weight the whole time, your weight every weekend and weight out. You know, you get to focus on wrestling, which I think really helps improve your wrestling. You know, you don't have those other things, those other distractions to take away from your practices or your training.
30 seconds gone by here in the second period. Travis Paulson and Rashid Kurbanov. Kurbanov is again, as we said earlier, 2007 junior champion.
It's tough.
European junior champion. Was fourth at the AC 2 years ago as well. Paulson, of course, out of Iowa State. So a busy weekend of wrestling here in Chicago. We had the Northwestern Duels yesterday out in Evanston. Then here the Chicago Cup. Now we get to drive 6 hours back.
Yeah, that's a fun drive.
1 minute gone by. No real scoring, no real action to speak of here in the early going of this second period.
Nice.
Now countering a shot.
Nice,
Snap, go behind. Hasn't secured it yet. The Russian still hanging on the leg.
Pull the shoulder. Break that lock. Attack the lock.
And Herbert trying to do some coaching from the side here.
I'm a coach / owner /
Oh, no, look at the Russian. Kurbanov just sucked the leg back in.
Jackie Moon with the Tropics. That's how I want to be. Nice. Get it, Travis.
Still trying to finish here.
Look where you are.
Coming around, steps the leg. He clears his ankle. He's going to be in good shape. There's the ankle. It's cleared, and he gets the 1 point takedown with 15 seconds to go. So they let that scramble go. That's one of the better freestyle scrambles we've seen, because we didn't see a whole lot of things like that at the Worlds.
Nope.
But, well, except in matches with Jake Herbert. So 6 seconds to go.
These are my training partners, Trent and Travis, and my housemates, you know, followed by Andy Roat as well. So
that's when you head out to the Springs, right?
Yep, exactly.
When you take your Springs trips, you're with the Paulsons and Roat, huh?
Yep, I'm usually getting my butt kicked. You know, I look at it that I think I'm a bigger, older brother, but they like to have that mentality too. So it toughens me up.
Travis Paulson going to pick up a 2-period victory, and they love it here in Chi-Town.
I'm gonna go scout this match, because I got to be ready for this guy here in 1 week.
In 1 week, you're wrestling this guy at the AC. So Jake, you can.
I'm going to scout away. I'm going to say it's a pleasure being on here. I got to give my thanks out to my parents, to Jason Bryant, who is now fully employed. He now has a job again, people.
You know,
he's employed as of today.
It really wasn't public knowledge that I didn't have one. Man, Herbert, you like to blow up my spot a little too much, man. So Jake, thanks for coming on.
Jason, thank you very much for having me.
Next time I'm by, I will not spoon with your swords. I assure you.
Yeah, they're nice though. You know, some are sharp. Yeah, that gladiator one's pretty sweet too.
Yeah, maybe you can. I'll get you a rethread for your silver medal too. So we'd like to thank Jake Herbert for coming on the show, or the broadcast here. Now we're up at 84 kilos with Karl Fronhofer from the United States and Anzor Yurev of Russia. Yurev, 10th in the World Cup, 22 years old, will be 23 in January. Won the 2008 Henri Delgain Challenge. He's third at the Medved against Karl Fronhofer, NCAA runner-up from Pittsburgh, New York native. Coaching several places. Last stop is Columbia. Fronhofer, more of a Greco background, believe it or not. Coming out of high school, very accomplished in the Greco. 1 minute gone by. Fronhofer in the red. Yurev in the blue. So it's 2-2 in matches won. Team Russia won the first two matches at 55 and 60. And then Trent and Travis Paulson came in and said, we're going to take these back. Nice low single attempt, but missed. Fronhofer blocking, pushing away. Under 35 seconds approaching now in the bout. And this is the first period. And we have another guest of the broadcast, the president of World Sports Chicago, Bill Scheer. Bill, thanks for coming on the broadcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So as far as the event goes, as Fronhofer gives up the first takedown, as far as putting on this event, what's it been like from the Chicago standpoint? 2-point gut wrench. Going to be, just one for hand-to-hand, so it wasn't elbow deep, so a 2-0 lead for Yurev. And now, as putting on this event, why Wilbur Wright College? Because first of all, I think it's an intimate, perfect setting for it, but why Wilbur Wright?
Well, we did the event at Northwestern in the past, but we wanted to bring it into the city because our mission at World Sports Chicago is to impact the youth of Chicago, and we're doing that with wrestling programs at the Chicago Public Schools and Chicago Park districts. And so the proximity is better here at Wilbur Wright for these kids to get up here and watch this world-class wrestling. And hopefully we can inspire some of these kids to become Olympic champions themselves.
Well, as we were driving in, I had to drive out from basically Lakeshore Drive to get in here today. And it was, everything's 30 miles an hour and everything's city, and there's just people everywhere. So I'd have to agree with the assessment being the location, because Wilbur Wright just kind of pops up. It's like, oh, wow, there's a community college here. So.
Yeah, in the city. It's a nice venue as well. And then they have a nice wrestling program here, so really fit for us. We might try to do something different in coming years where we do other things around this event and get more people here. But we're pretty satisfied with today's turnout.
Paul Fronhofer trailing 1 period to none.
Yeah, this is going to be a tougher one for us. The Russian looks pretty good here. He's big, solid kid with good technique. Fronhofer's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, won a Kadyrov Cup in Chechnya earlier this year, so I mean, you win tournaments in Chechnya, you're probably pretty good.
Yeah, all these kids from Russia are tough. I mean, you can look at them, every one of them up and down the lineup. It's good technique, they're physical. They're just good wrestlers, and so we won a couple already. That's a big bonus for us. Hopefully, we can win enough to get us over the top.
45 seconds gone by. This is the second period. Paul Fronhofer representing the United States and Anzor Yurev of Russia. We're wrestling 84 kilos. Bill Scheer joining us. Jason Bryan here from USA Wrestling for the 2009 Chicago Cup. Chicago, Illinois at Wilbur Wright College. So, yeah, really a nice little venue. I will say the coloring on the wall is the only thing I've got. It looks like French vanilla ice cream. That's about the best way I can put it.
It's warm. It's a warm color, inviting in here. You might want something a little more aggressive for sports. Maybe they use it for the arts and culture.
Or round ball.
Or round ball, yeah, exactly. Probably right. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, I don't say the B word on the wrestling broadcast. Nice ankle pick, and boom.
Sweet.
Just picks it up. He still hasn't scored with it yet. No, not yet. The judge over there just wants to have his paddle up there waiting. With the international scoring, the referee, the judge, and the mat chairman, 2 of the 3 have to agree. Judge was over there sitting going, hey, ready to go. Yeah,
they want to give points because, the worst thing they can have is a period end 0-0 and have to go to the clinch. So they're incentivized see these wrestlers score. This kid's got good technique. He set that move up, went for it, hit it hard with 30 seconds left in the period, and scored with about 15 left. That was perfect. If you're coaching, teaching a young man to keep going, don't wait for that clinch. You want to score and win it. It's good discipline by the Russian, and it obviously cost the U.S. a chance to win with a clinch.
Well, Paul Fronhofer going to come up short against the Russian Anzor Yurev. So one thing, Bill, I do like is how you've got the kids coming out with the trophies. And, as Craig Sesk was saying, international duels, it's typical for the little awards, but I really like how you've gotten the kids involved with this as well. So.
Yeah, our whole idea with this event and with every event we do at World Sports Chicago is to get young people involved and excited about sport. And so we have these kids active here. With many young people volunteered. We had them participate in the clinic and demonstration before the matches, and now some of them are getting to give out the awards. And so they'll remember that for a long time, being able to participate in a world-class match like this. And we have a goal not of producing Olympians, but of getting more people participating in sport. But as well as I do, if you get more people participating, some of them somehow, somewhere are going to get to the Olympic Games.
And how can you find out more about World Sports Chicago?
We have a website, www.worldsportchicago.org. Get on there and find out what we do in the city. We're involved in almost all the Olympic sports here in Chicago. Many, many events, whether you're a volunteer, a kid who wants to play sports, a parent who wants to find out where sports are played in the city, or just someone who's interested in learning more or being a fan. Go to our website. You'll find all the information there.
Now up here at 211 at 96 kilos, Andy Silent H. Rovat, wrestling for the United States, and Magedov for Russia. This was a change from what was initially pushed in the program. They changed that, I believe, today. Magedov was third in the 09 Russian Nationals, which, as Craig and I were talking about beforehand, might be the one of the top 3 wrestling tournaments in the world in terms of toughness.
Oh, Andy had him in his position. He slipped off the kid's head a little bit. Maybe the kid's a little greasy out there. I don't know. But Andy had him where he wanted him. Now he's just a little bit too low. Come on.
Now working the front head, trying to counter. Still that lock. Still swimming out. Now Roat trying to roll him through. I don't know if that shouldn't be too blue.
Should not be 2 points there. No, guys. Come on now.
I don't.
All right, that was a mistake.
Roat initiated the move.
Yes, he did.
And, well, I don't think he was held there by any means. But then again, that's why we're not officials.
They don't let us score, but I would not have given the 2 points there.
So
I hope Andy knows. Because he doesn't look like he's going after the kid.
Well, one thing about Roat, though, is he's also got some junk that you just don't typically see in freestyle matches.
Yep. Great hips, great body, knows where he's at out there.
It's like a gyroscope.
Good wrestler, and he wants to win. This kid's too big for him, though.
Yeah, near head far ankle didn't quite work just yet, but now he switches off and he's going to single out. The Wizard's still in tight. Now Roat slips, tries to roll through with the leg. Now we're almost in a head-to-toe scramble situation, a la collegiate wrestling here with or as Pat McCormick calls it, spaghetti wrestling. So who's got who? 2 and 1, and that's just going to end the period.
Doesn't matter now.
All that for no resolve. So, Bill, thanks for coming on. Tell us about World Sports Chicago.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us. Appreciate the broadcast, and all of you wrestling fans, stay tuned. It's going to be a good match.
Good stuff coming to Chicago if you're a wrestling fan. So the first period goes in favor of Magedov over Andy Roat. Roat, the 2008 Olympian at 84 kilos, moving up to 96. Following this, we'll have a match with Vasily Kalashnikov. Pardon me, folks. Greg Sesker back joining us. I don't know, what's the mascot of Wilbur Wright? The frogs? Because I definitely caught one in my throat here. 30 seconds gone by. Roat and Magedov. Just had Bill Scheer on. Jake Herbert joined us earlier, so we're back with Craig Sesker here. So action, 45 seconds gone by, second period.
Just talking to Trent Paulson. They're Paulson twins are contemplating moving up weight classes. Trent, it's a very hard cut for Trent to 66. They're going to kind of test the waters. And Travis moved up and won the Hargabine last weekend in Canada at 84. And you know, Trent's going to move up at 74 and see how that works for him. And he said he may drop down for the World Cup to 66 since he gets that 2 kilo allowance. But it'll be interesting to see, and that's one of the things you can do early in the season is, with some of these tournaments, is kind of just, you know, test the waters a little bit.
Yeah, Magedov now with these big double unders trying to kick through. Roat really up at the weight, but giving up some size. Bill Scheer just thought, you know, Andy's definitely not bigger than this guy in terms of wrestling size. Nice low single on the inside, trying to step over. You know, he has had no problem getting to Roat's legs this match. Silent
This is where Andy's very good, but it's also where he gets in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, kind of that front headlock pinch. TC Dantzler's really good with this in Greco. Tries to roll it over. No points and nothing. White paddle, so we're out of bounds. No points. We haven't seen a review yet. I think this is more of a friendly. Wouldn't you consider it, Craig? Like an international friendly? Like in soccer?
Yes. Good description.
We're going to the leg clinch.
Andy's got the leg in the clinch.
So Andy trying to fight off and win the second. Didn't even really lock his hands that much because it looked like he wanted to go right to the ankle.
Andy not really known for his offense at all. And just
known really as a counter wrestler, as we mentioned with Bill. And
he's got to get busy here or the match is going to be over.
He's taking a while to shelf it. Now he's still got the leg. Magedov still countering. Good balance. The Russian slips through. And he slips out, so Andy now with the Overhook lock. 2-1, and that's going to do it. So Magedov giving Russia its 4th victory of the day. They won it 55-60, 84, and now 96. Silent H comes up just a bit short here at 96. Now, interesting, Craig, here, you might have to fill us in on the situation as where the Vasily Kalashnikov, representing Israel and the United States, coming in to wrestle at 211 against Valery Bedoev.
Just opportunity to give Russia another match. They had a couple guys in this weight class, and actually they switched. The kid that's wrestling right now for Russia is a former heavyweight who's dropped down a weight class, and you can tell by looking at him he's pretty good size, 96 kilo.
Yeah, and the Israeli he's wrestling, Vasily Kalashnikov.
Yeah, wrestled in the World Championships, placed 19th, whatever that means, and it was 9th in the Europeans. So looks like a bit of a mismatch here. I think this Russian might
physically.
Yeah,
maybe the Israeli kid has got a good arm spin or something.
I tried.
Wow.
He must have heard you. Jason also doing some coaching. I think he's still looking for his first victory in the corner.
But there's the arm spin. Yeah, steps around behind him.
He must have heard us.
Nice. The takedown for Kalashnikov. Wow. Karnak. So 1-0 for this at 96 with Vasily Kalashnikov of Israel and Valery Bedoev of Russia. Are they doing a team score here, Craig?
They are.
Because it's 4-2 right now.
4-2. Let me see if I can get that for you.
Counter and the Russian's going to drive through and get 1 point. So Bedoev scores. 1 minute to go here in the first period. Trying to work with a high gut. So we actually are keeping a freestyle team scoring here. So it's not matches won. You know, sometimes they want to just say, all right, well, there were 7 matches. We won 4. We won. But so it's 13-8 with the official freestyle scoring, where you get points even if you lose or if you don't get pinned. Or we haven't seen a fall yet. We've only really seen one fall situation, but it was not called with Paulson. 30 seconds to go here in the first period. 96 kilos. This is Valery Bedoev of Russia. Vasily Kalashnikov of Israel. Bedoev has not let the Israeli wrestler in on his arm at all since those 2 arm spin attempts. Like, nope. And that'll end the first period with Bedoev of Russia taking the period 1-1 by virtue of scoring the last point over Vasily Kalashnikov.
And, again, like we talked about, it's very early in the season, but this is a great opportunity to get some very good matches against some very tough opponents. And I was just talking to Danny Felix over here in the Team USA corner, and he mentioned, hey, this is what I need. I need these kind of matches. You can train all you want with the guys in the United States, but you've got to match up against these Europeans. They wrestle a different style, and it's something that we got to get used to.
Kalashnikov fighting off the Russian Bedoev attempt. 15 seconds gone by. High dive attempt. One more match after this, and it's one I'm looking forward to, Craig. Now we're going to get a 1 point push out for Bedoev and takes a 1-0 lead here.
Yeah, it'll be the first time Travel Delagnev has competed since winning a bronze medal in his first World Championships, and Tervel is just scratching the surface of what he can do, and everybody in the United States feels like this kid can be a world champion. Except for maybe some of the other heavyweights like Les Sigmund and Steve Mocco and some of those guys who are going to have something to say about it.
Yeah, Sigmund definitely impressive win in the Hargebine.
Yeah, he beat Steve Mocco in the finals, and then
that's a money tournament too.
And then he won the big money match against Bryce Hasseman. He ended up Hasseman had the leg in the clinch and had won the first period, and somehow Siggy pulled out of it and won the match and walked home with $7,000.
Yeah, shortly thereafter, he asked me how to upload a video to his blog. So I'm not even on staff at USA Wrestling at the time, and wrestlers are hitting me up. Hey, how do I do this? So,
yeah, it took him like 6 years to get through UNO. So,
hey, easy. I know where you're going with that. 10 seconds to go. 1-0 lead for Bedouev. He's got the one period already. At 3-2. And 1, so that's going to end it. And the Russian Valery Bedouev will take the 2-period victory over Vasily Kalashnikov of Israel here at the Chicago Cup at 96 kilos. Now here comes our boy. Craig, your impression so far of the event? You've actually been up and interviewing and walking around. You said you were here for a couple hours before we started. You didn't have to deal with the traffic, so thoughts, reflections?
It's been a good day, a good event, great crowd, great atmosphere. Obviously, the Paulson twins are the story for the U.S. Trent Paulson putting on a show. He told me when I interviewed him, he said, I didn't get the job done at the World Championships, and he said I couldn't wait to get back on the mat, and it showed. I mean, Trent is. And if he moves up to 74, he's going to be, right in the mix.
And here we go with Tervel Delagnev of the United States, world bronze medalist, and Alan Sarkayev of Russia. Sarkayev, 7th in the 09 Junior Worlds, was the junior national champ in Russia, so born in 1991.
And, of course, Russia has the number one heavyweight in the world in Makov.
Born the first day of 1991. January 1, 91.
But Makov, the number one Russian heavyweight, two-time world champ, he won it this year. Tervel hasn't wrestled him. Tervel's big. This guy's like, Makov is like 6'6". He looks like an NFL tight end. Or maybe a left tackle.
Well, even Tervel said after the Worlds he would match up better with him because he thinks he would get to his legs easier, and he's kind of more of like timber, like a big tree.
Right. Tervel lost to the Iranian at the Worlds, and Iranian is a pretty good athlete, similar to Tervel. And right after the competition that day, Tervel was looking for the video so he could watch it and study it. Nobody studies more video than Tervel does. The U.S. team gives him a hard time about. He's on YouTube all the time looking for different videos to study.
Tervel didn't even know what wrestling was about 10 years ago.
He said the reason he went out for wrestling was because he wanted to lose some weight, and he saw the team working out, and he just went out and tried it, and it obviously caught on very quickly.
30 seconds to go here in the first period. No score with Alan Sarkayev and Tervel Delagnev. Sarkayev just 18 years old. Low single just missed. You hear the chant USA behind us. Tervel, up in the U.S., 8 seconds. He's looking pretty annoyed right now, to be honest with you.
He just shot a glance at referee Tom Clark. He's not very happy with the way this Russian's just kind of blocking him off.
I think they need to tighten up the mat a little bit, don't you think? Pull it tight like a set of sheets. It's one thing with these international mats that, let's see. Tervel's going to have the leg, so. Lifts, drives, boom, 1 point takedown.
Wow, you won't see a heavyweight finish any quicker than that.
Tervel said enough of this. The kid's 18, but I don't think he's on the same level just yet. Sarkayev. Give him a year, though.
Tervel is really filled out into a big, big heavyweight. I mean, last year he was only 235, 240. He's legitimately about 277, 275, and he's about 6'2". Just a great frame, and he's, very athletic, and he's put on some size, but he's really, kept his athleticism. He still moves really well.
That's one thing I like about Tervel's style is, he breaks the stereotype of heavyweight push, shove, sweat, push, shove, sweat. He's an attacking heavyweight.
He's got a great low single, and a lot of heavyweights don't like to get down that low to block, and he can get to the leg. He studied a lot of John Smith video, believe it or not. Now, John, obviously John was a master at the low single.
Front headlock. Now the Russian lifting on the leg. Tervel pushing away. Sarkayev has Delagnev in trouble. Tervel steps through. He's getting cradled. There's not something you see very often. The Russian cradles Tervel.
He's got a near side cradle locked up really tight.
Tervel breaks it. So he's going to get 2 and 1 on that, more than likely. 2 and 1. Yep, got the 2 for the exposure, 1 for the hold. So Tervel, that's not something you want to be a world bronze medalist and get cradled by an 18-year-old Russian kid who was 10th at the Junior Worlds, or 7th, excuse me. That is the one good thing if you're looking at this period thing. Is, well, I had a bad period. Go back and win it in the third. Tervel needs 3 points.
Amazing the development of these kids, these Russian kids. I mean, Jake Herbert had to rally to beat Gadasov at the World Championships. He's 20 years old at 84 kilos. Kudikov and Batirov very young.
So 30 seconds remaining in this, the final bout of the Chicago Cup. Jason Bryant, USA Wrestling, here along with Craig Sesker, the manager of communications. He's got a cool title.
What's your title?
I am the coordinator of grassroots and social media. I've had 311's song Grassroots running through my head the entire 311's got grassroots, come on. Yeah, all right, anyway, back to real wrestling here. 3-0 win for the Russian Alan Sarkayev in the second period. So Tervel wins on the leg clinch, gets cradle, loses in the second period. It's kind of, maybe it's just rust.
He just looks like he's a little flat-footed right now. Zeke Jones and Sean Bourmet talking to him in the corner, and he just, not really bouncing up on his toes like he normally does. He has hands on his hips right now. His head's down a little bit, and he's, he just hasn't been able to get to his offense. I think he was a little frustrated in the first period. This Russian is very strong defensively, and amazing that this kid's 18 years old, and he's right in there in the mix with the world bronze medalist right now.
Well, he's leading in total points. I mean, that's one thing we didn't see a whole lot in the Worlds, Craig. We didn't see hardly any cradles.
That's a move you rarely see internationally.
I don't understand. I think it's completely effective, but that's just me. I loved cradles because I got short arms. So if I got you in one, it was A, miracle, and B, it hurt. 20 seconds gone by. Tervel with a snap and spin. Russian does really good.
Russian is really balanced on his feet.
Sarkayev steps through the low single. As you were saying, you were talking about the John Smith single. Tervel gets so low, basically grazes his arm across the mat and picks the back of that heel. Delagnev now trying to counter, snap, spin, counters the bad takedown. Now he's going to try to score from parterre, and he does with a 2-point gut.
Great hips for Tervel on that counter. He just really blocked him, and very strong hip into him to block that and to go right around him.
3-0 lead for Tervel Delagnev of the United States.
A little bit of a wake-up call after that cradle, and Tervel has been in some big matches, even though he's young, and he's kept his composure here.
Really, not that many parterre scoring opportunities for the U.S. today. Paulson scored a lot of his points from funky counter situations and chest locks, and Tervel now going to drive and get the takedown.
Tervel's starting to break the Russian. Brandon Slay told me Tervel's the hardest worker in the room. You don't hear that very often about a heavyweight, but the hardest worker in the room.
And he's not push, shove, sweat. He's not that type of heavyweight.
A practice will end, and you'll see Tervel jogging around the wrestling room, riding the bike, just doing that little bit of, extra that he needs.
So this is the final match of the day. 30 seconds to go. From here at Wilbur Wright College. Remember the NJCAA, so Chicago guys looking to go JUCO. Hey, check this place out. That's our pitch for our host. 18 seconds ago, Delagnev with a 4-0 lead.
Russian very tired right now. He just doesn't have anything left in the tank right now.
You know, he had his one chance, and you know, sometimes that you need to take advantage of that and snap and spin again.
That's where a Tervel and a Jake Herbert, you know, are world medalists right now. They're conditioning. That's one of the big differences with those guys. And they will keep coming for 3 periods.
Tervel Delagnev going to pick up the victory. And you see the kid trying to get the medal over Tervel's head. it's a little tight. It's a little snug. Craig's going to go talk to Tervel. We're going to wrap things up here from the Chicago Cup. So far, to recap what we saw today, Ryan Hope of the United States in the Greco exhibition topped Marco Toledo. Neremim Israelov of Russia beat Danny Felix at 55. At 60, Vladimir Vilmov beat Coleman Scott in 2 periods. Trent Paulson of the United States got the U.S. on the board with a victory over Arsen Marov of Russia at 145.5. At 74, Travis Paulson followed with a victory over Rashid Kurbanov. Russia struck back with Anzor Yurev beating Karl Fronhofer and Magomed Magomedov beating Andy Rovat. Valeria Bedoev of Russia beat Vasily Kalashnikov of Israel. And our last match of the day, won by an American, Tervel Delagnev beating Alan Sarkeyev of Russia. So, for Jake Herbert, Bill Scheer, Craig Sesker, I'm Jason Bryant. We'll see you next time on themat.com.